Hello everyone and welcome back to the next installment of our 10.2 raid guides, proudly presented by Kingston FURY. This is Crazy Puck from Method, and today we'll show you how to defeat Larodar in heroic Amirdrassil. Please keep in mind everything in this video is from PTR testing, and it's possible Blizzard altered the encounter in some way since the final testing. If that happens, we'll release an updated video after the fights are live. Larodar is a two-phase fight with a short but intense intermission between. The encounter room is a large circle with some fire goop puddles called burning ground before you begin. Several mechanics create more burning ground, slowly closing you in until there's no space left. Most of the fight revolves around managing that burning ground, ensuring you don't get fully encased and die. In the middle of the room there's a seed of life, dormant and just kinda useless. Throughout the fight, the boss will spawn groups of 3 ashen treants. As these move around, they drop more burning ground. When they come out, the treants are your DPS priority. Once they die, they become charred treants, inactive and just hanging out on the ground. At that point, you can actually start healing them instead of damaging them. Once you do that and get them back to full health, they stand up, run towards the seed of life, and channel into the seed, charging it. On PTR, you can actually life grip these treants too to get them into the seed faster. Once the seed gets charged up, it becomes interactable. Up to 3 players can click it, getting the Dream Blossom buff, putting a line between them and the seed. When that happens, the affected players can run over the burning ground and clear it completely. This drains the seed, and once it runs out of charges, the seed goes inactive again. The players who had Dream Blossom then get a debuff called Dream Fatigue, preventing them from interacting with the seed again for 4 minutes. You'll need to keep rotating through killing treants, healing them up, charging the seed, and clearing ground throughout the entire fight. You don't need to keep the room 100% clear of burning ground, and honestly you probably can't, but you do want to ensure you have plenty of room to work with and move around. Aside from room management, there's a handful of other mechanics to deal with. Larodar will tick for raid-wide fire damage the entirety of the fight. The boss will also periodically throw out fire whirl tornadoes in random directions. Don't eat fire tornadoes to the face, it's bad for your health. When the boss casts Blazing Thorns, a bunch of lines of swirlies will appear. They explode a couple seconds later, don't get hit. Each swirl then leaves behind a small fire orb, which will move back in towards the boss. Eating a fire orb does mild damage and applies a small dot, but it increases your crit chance by 20% for 10 seconds, stacking. Any orb that doesn't get soaked by a player and reaches the boss instead increases the boss's fire damage dealt by 20% for 10 seconds. That means you want to make sure you soak all of the orbs, and standing in them is literally a DPS buff. Take this extra damage. Sorry, healers. The tank mechanic for this fight is Furious Charge. He'll focus the tank, then charge at them, dealing massive physical and fire damage. This damage is reduced based on how far the boss had to charge, so the tank will want to move away. Nobody else should get hit by the charge, it hurts a lot. Once the boss reaches the tank, he'll yell really loud, and that, I don't know, it somehow deals fire damage with his voice. The damage of the yell is also based on how far he charged, so make sure the tank really does move a fair bit away. After the charge, the tank who got hit will get a debuff, causing them to take double physical damage for 20 seconds, decreasing in potency over time. Tanks will just want to swap after every charge. Larodar will also periodically cast Scorching Roots, creating a small root on the ground that fixates a random player. If it reaches the target, that person gets rooted for 10 seconds and gets a nasty dot. However, if the roots touch any burning ground, they'll become targetable and killable. As soon as that happens, all your DPS will want to swap and kill the roots. Once they die, they become charred brambles and can be healed up by your healers. You will want to do this, as it's the only counter to Larodar's last ability. When the boss reaches 100 energy, he'll cast Raging Inferno. This deals 1.8 million fire damage to the entire raid every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. You do not have that much health, even with cooldowns. You will die. Fortunately, if you healed up the charred bramble, it'll perk up when the boss starts casting the Raging Inferno, and the bramble will get a green circle around it, standing in which reduces the damage you take by Inferno by 90%, making it livable. Do not mess up getting the bramble healed up in time. Phase 1 will rinse and repeat through those mechanics 3 times. On PTR, Phase 1 ends either when the 3rd Raging Inferno completes, or the boss hits 40% health, whichever is first. Either of those triggers the short intermission. The boss will stand still and start casting consuming flames for 16 seconds. This causes him to tick for raid-wide fire damage every half second. It also causes everyone to pulse for extra damage to anybody within 3 yards, so spread out. Hugs are usually good things, but not during the consuming flames. You should pop a healing cooldown or 2 here to keep everybody stable. Once the consuming flame ends, you'll get into phase 2. You'll want to pop Lust here as the damage ramps up quickly and can overwhelm your healers. The boss will pulse damage from Searing Ash. It starts relatively weak, ticking for something like 3000 damage per second. However, the boss gains a stack of this every 12 seconds, so it really ramps up heavily over time. Fire Whirl works like phase 1 and the trains return. However, in phase 2, more trains spawn with each group and they no longer turn into charged trains, meaning the whole healing them, empowering the seed, and clearing burning ground thing does not get to happen in phase 2. You'll want ranged DPS to swap to the trains ASAP and blast them. In addition to this, the boss also gets a couple of new mechanics. Larodar periodically casts Falling Embers, putting a few soak circles on the ground. If any do not get soaked, it'll explode for heavy raid-wide damage and apply an extra stack of that Searing Ash dot. Flashfire will put absorb shields on several players, absorbing about 300,000 healing. If the shields are not healed off within 8 seconds, the affected player explodes for moderate damage around them and gets a debuff called Encased in Ash. This then stuns that player for 20 seconds, but on the PTR, the stun could be dispelled. The last new mechanic for phase 2 is Smoldering Backdraft. The boss will blast fire in Frontal Cone, dealing massive fire damage to anybody hit, and applying Smoldering Suffocation. Your active tank needs to take this hit and then immediately have the boss taunted off. The Suffocation reduces the tank's healing received by 100% and applies a dot for 30 seconds. That's bad news bears, especially for someone like a Blood DK. Fortunately, the affected player can leech health from their friends within 6 yards, so get into melee and drain your friends to save yourself. Burn hard and kill the boss before you run out of space or the taking damage just kills you. If you enjoyed this guide, remember to like it and make sure you're subscribed to the channel to catch all of our previews, guides, kill videos, and more. A big thank you again to Kingston FURY for making guides like these possible. From everyone here at Method, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.